Yes, that is right. As promised in my last interview with G-Wiz, I'm interviewing none other than Dickie Rock's son, Jason Rock. How are you doing today?
How you doing, Jack? How you doing?
Very good. I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah, delighted as well. Being out of that beautiful, gorgeous weather that we're having.
Oh my goodness, the weather. I've had to put the fan on for hours to get the heat out, and I'd say...
It's my biggest fan. Yeah.
Oh god! Oh my! Yeah. So yeah, it is. It really is my biggest fan in here. So anyway, enough jokes that are worse than Sil's ones.
Brilliant.
Sil does a better job. Anyway, I suppose what I'd like to start off with is what was your first memory that your dad Dickie Rock was actually such a big deal artist in Ireland?
I think, did my seat collapse there?
Yes.
I think when you're about 4 or 5 and you are in a car, 5 or 6, and you pull up to the lights and you see people's reactions, that's when you begin to twig something is not normal here, you know. So it was probably around that time, and then you eventually put the pieces together. Oh, so this is what he does. He's a singer, and you'd eventually put it all together. So by the time you're 5 or 6, so that's what he does. Yeah, that's Dad's job. Whereas everybody else's dad's job was like 9 to 5, or gone to work doing whatever they did, and my dad's job was gone at 1 in the day and back at 5 in the morning, and it was bizarre to say the least, because there was nothing to compare it to. None of my friends had that same experience, so it was amazing sometimes, and then other times it was kind of like, this is very odd.
Yeah. Really? Definitely. Yeah. So when you'd be going into school, would you see him in the morning and then coming home, that was it?
Later, in the 80s, you would see him, in the afternoon maybe, but through the first 10, 11, 12 years, he was working 7 days a week, 2 weeks off your holidays in the middle of it, and they all worked 7 days a week, and they were gone at 1 in the day, and they were back. Could be if you're in Donegal, because there's no motorways.
Oh God!
You just have little small roads. You're in a dodgy old transit, if you were lucky.
Yeah.
So he'd be back at 4:30, 3:30, 4:30, 5:30 in the morning, have a little sandwich. We were talking about earlier on having a cup of coffee at 5 in the morning is probably not the best thing to be doing, but he got a little, I think he was a bit posh or continental in the 70s, drinking his Nescafe, at 5 in the morning, wired.
Oh, nice.
And then he'd be in bed for 6 hours, and about 12:30 he'd wake up, you'd hear him up, you go up. And I remember going up to the bathroom to him when I was really young, 5 or 6, and standing there and just watching him shave, getting ready to go, get the suit out, The suit would have been left out there in the morning for my mum to drop to the dry cleaners, get that done, so it's right back and all by 12 o'clock, ready to go, because you had to look good all the time.
Yep.
People are paying in to see you look good and sing good, and
And that was the era where you had to really, really, really
be
dress
glowing.
in.
You had to be glowing. As you know yourself, you've been around show business a long time. You can't look mundane. You can't look beige. You gotta be like, boom, you gotta explode.
Yeah.
In whatever way you can. So that's what he did. He turned up looking 100% at the time,
What was your first gig of his that you remember going to?
I remember going to rehearsals at the back of the Iron ballroom up the top of O'Connell Street there. And my first recollection was being in that rehearsal room with the band, the Dickie Rock band he put together in the 70s. And I remember all the guys, Charlie on guitar, PJ on bass. Can't remember the drummer's name. The keyboard player was a Greek guy called Spiros from Corfu. My dad thought it was very, very fancy, you know, having a Greek guy in the band in the early 70s, very continental. You know?
International.
Yes, exactly. And an amazing keyboard player, you know. And I remember being in those rehearsal rooms, and it was in the basement at the very back of the Iron Ballroom. They seemed to put in a nightclub or something there in the 70s. Don't know what it was called. But I remember being at those rehearsals. So I would have never got to gigs till I was like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
You know, but at every rehearsal you'd be sitting under the piano, or, you know, as soon as the lads left the room to have a break, you'd be up playing on the drums. I'd be driving the drummers insane. I'd say, this little bollocks, wrecking your kit. Get off your kit. But and then you'd have other dudes who were the musicians that would walk over and hand you their guitar, you know. Barry Scully was one in particular, was a bass player with my dad for years. You just watch it, and he'd just walk over and hand you the bass, you know, when they were going outside to have their smoke and have a cup of tea or whatever else. And yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing because you know, you're imprinted with it, constant imprinting.
Yeah.
Many times can you listen to like, I'd hear the same songs all the time.
Oh God.
You know, and so it's like a stamp on your brain, boom, 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 boom. And then you'd hear him doing a new one, and I was kind of like, ooh,
it's a new one.
This is interesting here. Because I was amazed to see the music being played right in front of my eyes that I'd heard on the radio by whoever the band was at the time, you know. So when these guys, Dublin guys or wherever they were from, were playing, I was just, wow, that's incredible. How'd you play that?
So when you were going up on the stage during rehearsals, bashing on the drums, playing the guitars, playing the basses, was that what made you go, yes, I want to do this?
No. I never thought about it. And then when I was in school, I met some friends. Well, I made friends with these guys, and we didn't play rugby, and we didn't, we liked to play football, soccer, and they didn't do that in this school. And then we found a shared camaraderie to music, and sure, why don't we try and play this music? And, you know, we put together a covers band when we were 16 in the school. But you still never think that you could do it professionally.
How come? Since your dad was doing it professionally for many years.
Because it wasn't encouraged. You know, it was, he knew how hard a life it was, and, you know, it's either you win or there's nothing.
Yeah.
It's not like going to your job every week where you get paid every Friday or once a month or once every 2 weeks. If you are, you know, crap at being an artist, and you don't get paid. You don't get paid, you get hungry. You know, I'm not saying I was crap as an artist. But when I was young, I was in bands with different guys, and we all tried to make it. Some of the guys went on to do some things, some didn't. Some went back into, you know, I guess, normal 9 to 5. I've always, you know, had it in me, in my head. Music would always be in me, you know. As I'm walking along the street, I'm thinking of a lyric or something in my head, and need to get the note recorder out and put down that lyric.
Okay.
You know, I find AI incredible for that. I'm sure you have.
No, I don't use that.
Me neither. No one uses that. It's crap. But I found for people who don't know how to record or how to use tech, and I am totally technophile, whatever you want to call it, I'm crap. I found it brilliant for, you know, trying to write. I have these lyrics. How do I make them come alive? You know, I can't play guitar. Well, I can, but I'm crap. You know, just crap. But I hear the melody in my head.
Yeah.
I hear what I want the instruments doing, or what the lyric is. I hear that melody, and I try and get that down. But being crap at all that, I've used AI of late. But it wouldn't be something. I think you can see it in the music, you can hear it in the music, and you can feel it. That there's no human in it. There's no. Well, they're singing those words, but that dude doesn't believe that pain at all. You know what
exactly,
I mean? You have to believe the pain. And that's why I think the human part of the whole development process can never be replaced. You can never replace, emotion for love or loss or for anything. You just can't replicate it.
No.
You know exactly.
No, exactly, because I've listened to, like, you'd stumble upon an AI cover of something and it'd have a vocal. It'd be too clean, but also be slightly choppy, so you'd know.
It's not nice.
It's sort of, okay, yeah.
I think it's an amazing tool. I think it's an amazing tool for you to go, right, here's the demo. Let's go into the studio now and learn the proper demo.
Yeah.
These are the keys, lads. This is what I'm doing. It's a great sketch tool. It's not necessarily what you have here. It's what you end up with when you bring in the human touch. You might go, well, I really like that. And if I go from there, they can bring it here. So I think the human touch is the most important thing, because that's where you get the connection with the people listening in or viewing the painting or just taking in whatever it is. You need that connection, and those computers or AI won't give it to you.
No,
in my opinion.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Even you'll hear with people who use MIDI drums, and there's people who'll go, "Ooh, I can hear the quantization on that and all this."
People say that to me, and I haven't got a clue what they're talking about. I go, oh, "Really? Can you?" Yes, I do. But I know what they're talking about when it's pointed out.
Yeah.
But you can't beat a man with a guitar or a woman.
No. Definitely not.
So it's.
That's why we got like 5 of them in here in this room.
Yeah, I love this. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And my favourite there would be your lovely Fender on the wall. It's quite nice.
Yeah, the acoustic.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I barely use it. I'm absolutely rubbish at the acoustic.
Really?
Electric, I'm grand at the acoustic. 2 songs and when I done it, that's about it.
Yeah, be grand.
When did you start songwriting?
I always wrote bits and pieces of words, lyrics. I used to love, like most kids that are crap in school, I feel, they will always say, I love English, and I love art, and I love history. But I did, and I really loved English, and I loved the poetry, and, I love amazing writing. So I just started writing little bits, little snippets, and I've always kept them. I have a book where I just keep 4 or 5 lines or 3 or 4 lines, or then you could be writing with somebody else and I managed to get the whole thing out. Here I have this and this, what do you think? So I've been doing that since I was late teens, mid-teens. I've always kept some type of little notebook of stuff, slogans and stuff like that, that pop into your head. Some of them you can't put on a t-shirt.
Okay. What was a song that you wrote that you were very proud of, where you stood back and went, yeah, that's actually a pretty good one?
Just in the last few years, I've been writing with a few different people and did a song called, it was about 5 different names on it, because when we're talking about it, you get it sent. It's called Goodbye Girl.
Okay.
But another part of the song is called Turn It Around. So I'd be getting, different musicians send me, here's Goodbye Girl, and the other one's going, here's Turn It Around. But that, I like it because it was at a time where it was that time, Goodbye Girl. It was, I was leaving something, trying to move on to somewhere else, but while trying to make sure the situation I was leaving wasn't, damaged or that they didn't feel unloved. But you gotta say sometimes goodbye to a lot of things, to people in your life. For peace, you gotta say goodbye to anything that doesn't bring you any of that peace. So that's really what it was about. It was about a time when I didn't have the peace, and managed to write about it and push it along. You know, so it was a pretty emotional song to write, and I'd be really happy with that one because it turned out incredible.
Definitely. Is it out anywhere for?
No,
anyone to
we're
hear?
actually recording it this year. Would you believe this?
Good.
This June we go into studio to. It's been in work for the last 2 months, and this June I'll go in and do the vocals, which I'm looking forward to.
Very good.
And hopefully have that out end of July maybe.
Very nice.
If I like the sound of it. Otherwise you can piss off if it's shite. I'll let you know.
Yeah, we'll let you know sometime. Sometime.
Yeah. End of July.
Yeah, okay. Did Dickie ever write any of his own songs?
No.
No.
He no, he never did. I never saw him have the want to write it, his own stuff. I think he just loved, like I really mean loved, a good song. It didn't matter what era it was from. He just loved a good song. He loved to get a good song that was in the right key, had the right resonance for him, and had something in it for him to be interested in. And he would then interpret that song his way, which he was really, really brilliant at.
Okay.
Exactly like Sinatra did, exactly like Elvis did, exactly like Bennett did.
Like if I was to describe to someone,
if
I was to describe to someone like who Dickie was and they hadn't a clue who he was, I would say he was Ireland's Elvis.
Yeah.
Because he sang...
He wouldn't like that.
He wouldn't?
If you said Ireland's Sinatra, he'd be like, oh yeah, I love that. Ireland's Elvis, he's like, nah, yeah. You know, he bizarrely thought he was just a rock and roll star because he loved Elvis, as he told me. He said, I loved him when he was dangerous, you know, 57. When Elvis appeared, he said it was like the world went from black and white to Technicolor. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, this dude appeared out of nowhere, and they all wanted to be him. You know? And I think that wore off for my dad because he always loved the big ballads, the big love songs. You know? So, but yeah, I remember him telling me that, and I was kind of surprised because I always knew he was kind of like, nah, he's not that good. He may have tried to tell somebody before, I'm better than him. I'm not being funny. Put him on the same stage. He very possibly could have been, you know.
Well, he was definitely
the opportunity.
He was definitely a great singer.
Yeah, but he had the opportunity to go abroad in the late 60s, early 70s, several times to go and record. They went to London. They recorded with Tom Jones, Engelbert Humperdinck.
Very nice.
And they all recorded in the same studios all around the same time. They get pool songs. They all went in, used the same orchestra. And I think the songs he did then in the late 60s were probably the best songs that he ever recorded. But they never got released or anything, or if they did, they didn't have the backing. And he wouldn't move to the UK, and he wouldn't move to America. He wouldn't leave Dublin, because Dublin was his home, and he just I don't really need to go and be a superstar there. Sure, I'm a superstar up in Cabra.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's good enough for him, you know. And you know, he was very satisfied with the life he had, and he was, you know, he, as he said, I couldn't ask for any more, you know.
No, I mean, you look at the pictures and the videos from back in the day, and I mean, people just bombarding him, security involved and everything.
Incredible,
and,
incredible. It was, you know, I remember it in the 70s, because in the 70s he was still banging. He had the #1 at the end of the 70s, and then he just fully turned to cabaret in the 80s, which was a phenomenon across Ireland, in nice big cabaret rooms. They'd hold 600, 700, 800 people all sitting for dinner and a cabaret show. But it was high end, you know what I mean? They were high end. They were some amazing musicians, the backing vocalists, everything. The show was put on, you know, it just didn't happen. It was a production, which I think sadly now with a lot of acts, they ignore the whole production of turning up not just sounding incredible, but you just gotta have something different. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. If we knew what it was, we'd all be superstars. But I think you just have to be like that. Just turn up and really be on.
100%, yeah.
You know what I mean? On all the time.
Because you look now at a lot of live shows, a lot of the big ones, like I'm talking 3 Arena, O2 London, a lot of them, I feel the lighting and the graphic design and all that, that's what's carrying the gig. And 100%. The music helps, but I feel that's really carrying it.
It's almost like it's, that flickering light, just, it's almost like you're being programmed by the whole backdrop. Do you know what I mean? I went to see Biffy Clyro, and after about 54 minutes, I looked at my mate and I said, this is unbelievable. Like, it was an incredible show, but it was the whole show, the graphics and everything. But the great thing about this band is they can really play. So the marriage between the two, the tech, the whole show, and the actual 3 guys playing was just magnificent. And then I've seen it go the opposite way, where it's all tech and it's all crap. There's no soul in it. There's no, the dude's not speaking to you. He's just playing like a madman, and there's no connection. So it's, again, back to connection. Make sure the show ties into that, to the people, and back again.
Exactly. And people relate to it more.
Oh, totally. That's the point.
And you were in a couple of bands, as you were mentioning. One I remember in the 90s is called Out of the Blue. Yes, I did my research. And there was another one that you did in the 2020s called the Celebrants as well. So
the Celebrants was more of a show bandy thing. I then COVID kicked in, and I actually got sick after that. With I was in a car crash, and I had a bit of the trauma from that kicked off a reaction in my body, and I developed an arthritis off that, which kind of just took me out of everything for a couple of years. I couldn't really walk too much. My body was swollen, inflamed. Just this year, it's got better this year with a lot of medicine.
Okay.
The meds do work. The drugs do work, as they say. So it was just simply a matter of finding the right drug to reduce everything, and it's works a good bit. Sometimes it doesn't work, and that's not cool. It's not pretty, and it kind of, that'll disturb the creative flow, as we say, Jack.
And what was the Out of the Blue one like in the 90s?
Out of the Blue was formed out of school with some friends. One of them, Timmy, he plays with Paddy Casey. Tim McGrath, he plays with Paddy Casey now. And we had a ball because we were like 17, 18, 19, and we were so naive. But we were positive all the time. We were really trying to go for it, and I'm not saying we were crap, but our energy was there. We hadn't developed as any type of songwriting force or anything. And at the very end of that makeup of that band, we had started to find our feet. We'd moved away from, the pop synthy sound that we had in the beginning, and we actually got quite heavy, and we started getting into it, and then, I don't know, we broke up. You're 20 and you just all go, or 21, you go your own ways up for some ridiculous reason, probably a girl or something stupid. And we had written a bunch of songs, and then we said, fuck it, no, I need to make money. We're all broke.
Yeah.
We're all working 9 to 5 every day, rehearsing and then doing gigs, but sure, you're never making money, so you got to go and make money. So eventually we broke up, and we all went off in our own different directions in life, basically. And then about 5 years ago, I was talking to the guy that managed us at the time, and he said, I never wanted to say this to you, but about 5 weeks after you broke up, Geffen rang up looking to run you through and do demos with you and everything.
Oh God!
I was looking at the dude, because you know where I was?
Yeah.
I went to New York, and I went to an island called Fire Island, working there with some friends, and I was cleaning windows, laying concrete, doing all this type of stuff, but I found myself cleaning David Geffen's windows.
Oh no!
Of his summer house.
Oh no!
Fucking lucky I didn't know, because I would have been knocking on his door. How you doing, man? Let me in. Here's my demo. But yeah, he told me that about 5 years ago. The guy that used to manage us, Peter Blackburn, he was a cool dude. But he said, you just weren't there as people, and I totally got it, because you're very immature at 20 years of age. Jesus Christ, there's no way anybody should have given us anything at 20 years of age.
When you were saying heavier music, was it like, what are we talking,
Oh,
like
a lot
grunge,
heavier.
metal?
Yeah, right into... It was bizarre, because we were right on that cusp of grunge, and it was pre Nevermind, it was pre all this type of stuff, but we had just found a sound, and we realised after about 4 or 5 songs, this is really good, lads. You know, because the rest of the stuff you would never turn around and kind of go, well, that's really good, isn't it? Because it wasn't. You know, it really wasn't. But we got away with mad shit, like, you know. So thank God there was no internet. You'd be ruined after a week.
Oh God!
You know, no social media. You'd be destroyed. You'd be like one of those parody acts up on social media sometimes, and you kind of go, "Is this a skit? Or is it? Are they taking the piss? Oh no, they're not. Okay, leave it there." Yeah.
One of those like worst band ever videos that you see.
You know. But we were all learning. That was the thing. We were like, our drummer Timmy would have been the most competent, but we were all learning on the job. Did I know how to sing? Absolutely not.
Did your dad even try coach you into singing?
No. I think you learn on the job, like being an artist or being a musician. You have to, because how else are you going to know? Like any job, really. How else are you going to know unless you go and try it and make the mistakes? You know, but we loved it. It was fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. Did you end up putting out those songs or like selling those songs to other bands?
No, we did release a single, and it was on the RT playlist, would you believe, for July in about 1989, 1990, I don't know. I think it was, what it was we did a demo disc, right? And then we blagged our way into RT. And Jerry Ryan, God rest his soul, he was an amazing man. He just said, fuck it, I'm playing. You know, and I was truly amazed, because at that time we were getting right few gigs. When we released that, we were doing a gig in Stephen's Green, and Jerry played it that morning. I remember sitting in my flat and going, I can't fucking believe it. And then we did a fanning session off the back of that, and yeah, it was brilliant. There were brilliant times. Dublin was an innocent place, you know, and you could move around really easy, no sweat. And there was only certain venues, you know, Bag It In, legendary, just a wonderful space to be in. And there really wasn't much else besides that. Yeah, Charlie's and a few other places, but yeah, it was a great time to be young in Dublin around the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so I heard from many other bands in that era how like the gigging was...
It was every night.
Yeah.
Every night you could see great bands. You could go to the Bag It In, see Therapy. You could see an Emotional Fish. I remember standing in the Bag It In, watching Emotional Fish, and looking to my right, and Emmett Ertegun was standing there, the guy that Led Zeppelin did the Remembrance concert for. He was I think he was about 75 then. But he'd come to see the Fish and to sign them, you know, and we were always striving to get to that position. And we didn't.
And here's a bit of a what if moment, probably one of the biggest what ifs in Irish music history. Is it true that you turned down Boyzone?
Yeah, my brother Richard went down. I thought I was too old. I was 23, and Richard was 17, I think, and could really sing well as well, like really well, to be honest.
Okay.
And But I don't think it was his vibe. It wasn't his flavour. He wasn't into it. He just wasn't into it. You know, he's on a different path. He's on a different vibe, Richard. You know, even with his music, it's you know, psytrance. I don't know if you've ever listened.
Trance, yeah, trance music, yeah.
Psytrance.
Psytrance.
It's a totally different ballgame. Totally different. Listen to it later on. You'll ring me up and go, I think we all need help. It's nuts. So he wasn't really into it. It's not his vibe, and you know, he's a lot younger than me. So how could it be his vibe? You know, he was into a new dawn of music in the early '90s with the dance scene, and it was really a new dawn of music right across England, Ireland, the world. It was. I think that was his 1957. Elvis appearing, 91, 92 was his rock and roll moment. Late 70s, you had the punk moment. You know, we all lived through different modes of it, but that for him was his thing. And he was into DJing, and he still is. He still, you know, does a little bit of that. But yeah, no cabaret for him.
Yeah, and no boy bands. That was just too much.
Nothing at all.
Because when you looked at, I watched that late appearance that he did, and firstly you could tell the gay kind of, I think, preferred Richard over the rest of it. He definitely was like, it's Dickie's son. Isn't that lovely?
Gay just needed anything. He needed a little bit of. He just needs a bit, you know, because no offense to Keith and the lads, then they weren't newsworthy, but Richard the young fella obviously was.
Yeah.
You know, so, but now the lads have gone on and done great. Keith's done amazingly. So you think he's packing out the UK. He's touring like 90 with Brian McFadden. Like, fair play to him. Like,
yeah. But in hindsight, did you think that maybe, because of how big it was, did you maybe dodge a bullet?
No. I wouldn't even think that way. Wouldn't even, you know, I know Richard certainly doesn't think that way. He couldn't give a shite. You know, not that I couldn't give a shite, but no, that was the choice I made. I don't think you can regret making these choices.
No.
You know, I was off trying to do other things, you know, trying to enjoy my life. And that all took a back seat for a while, because also when you break up as a band, as people, you've been together for 5 years, you come out of that space, and I really didn't know anything else. Like, I didn't have, I had other friends. They were my friends. They were always my friends. But we weren't there on a weekly basis with them, so you're kind of lost for a while. Genuinely lost. I felt lost, and I remember a friend of mine I met him at a bus stop, and he goes, "What are you doing?" He'd heard about the band breaking up, because he used to come and see us all the time. He said, "Oh no, blah blah blah, come out with me," because I went to school with him, and I went out with him, and I met lads I went to school with, which was, I have to say, was the moment I kind of met my friends. I was always friends with them, you know, but since 7, 8 years of age, but this was kind of my reintroduction back into these friends that I've had ages ago. So it's a very bizarre place to find yourself when your band breaks up, and then you get offered this by Louis, and you're kind of, and I was actually walking with Tim McGrath. I remember where I was in Harold's Cross, and Louis drives up, and he's in a kind of like a Morgan sports car, right? Sports car. And he's going, you know, calling me, "Jake, come here, will you come down to an audition?" I was like, "No, Louis, too old." You know, in my head, I totally believed I was way too old. Whereas, I don't, looking back now, that would be, "You fucking idiot. Why didn't you just take the jump?" You know, and it's not just breaking up with the other band, it's the kind of, you don't feel like you're able to do it, or that you're good enough to do it. If I had known they'd use all backing tracks, I would have done it straight away. Only messing.
Are you sure about that?
Oh, brilliant.
For a while you did step away from music though, and that involved you going into the hospitality sector. Running a pub was involved in that. So what was that sort of lifestyle like?
I went into, in 1995, I bumped into a friend of mine who owned a bar in town, Brussels, Dave Egan, and he said, you wouldn't give us a hand. I'm stuck for barmen, with no barman. Would you jump in, give us a hand just for 1 or 2 nights? I said, no problem. I jumped in, gave him a hand, hadn't a clue what I was doing. You learn pretty quick though, it's really not rocket science. It's not like being a barman today where you're a mixologist and you have to make all these incredible drinks, you know, wear pints, you know, and shorts, pints, shorts, pints, shorts. And it was amazing because in 95 you could see the rise of the Celtic Tiger coming.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden in the pub people started to arrive in, kind of like you'd see them leaving the Westbury, and I'd always make my way out to the front doors. They were passing by the front door of Brussels, whatever the celebrity was, and I'd try and drag them in. Because I figured, well, if I can get these dudes in here, this is going to get us, you know, pretty, the crowds are going to swell really quickly, which it did, you know. It was, that pub was amazing. Like I've seen Michael Flatley dancing on the bar, Ryan Giggs breakdancing on the bar, you know, everybody, we had everybody through there. You know, Neil Diamond, his whole band, everybody. It was an incredible place. It became kind of like a hub around that, the mid to late 90s, you know, and also it was a cool bar to be in.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's just a great spot.
Yeah, and especially in the Westbury, because like that
I think
near
I was there 5-6 years, and looking at those windows, the things you see are just incredible. Now, I don't think it's the same anymore. I find that centre of town part thing is, the characters are gone, you know.
It's definitely changed.
Yeah, it's not nice. You know, I could be in town in the mid-90s and be able to go to 3 different venues, I guess. I guess I'm looking through rose-tinted glasses, you know, but, you know, you go to 3 or 4 different places and that's all there was. You know, there are loads of other pubs, but only the places we wanted to go to, there was only 3 or 4 of them. It was like a little triangle, you know.
Okay.
So it was a great place to be, really. But all the characters have gone out of it now. You know, there's really not a lot of Dublin left in it, the way it was, you know.
Well, especially with the Docklands being all Google and all the big tech companies.
I don't go into the city centre anymore, but I went in maybe 6 months ago. I went for a walk, and I walked all the way in, and I hit the top of Grafton Street there, just by the Green, and I just looked down, and it was, you know, it was tourists, just tourists.
Tourists,
Shopping. I went down by the girls I knew, the flower sellers there, Tina and her sisters, and like to say hello to them, have a chat with them. And even they said, no, it's not the same. Like, it's just, there's a different vibe in the city. You know, it's either tourist shopping or a little bit of benevolence. So I'm not into shopping, and I don't really do benevolence. You know, it's just the undercurrent in the city is not nice anymore.
No.
You know, you see that yourself.
Oh, I mean, when I was younger, wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Now that I'm older, it's not really for me.
Fucking 22, man. You're getting so old now.
Oh, so old. I'm going grey.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that.
Now back to music. What actually brought you back into the music scene after being in the hospitality?
I kind of never went away from it because you're constantly, for me, I'm constantly thinking of it, you know. I'm constantly playing the drums in my head. I'm constantly, you know, oh, there's a great melody. I must write that down. I must do it into the voice recorder. It's very hard to get it out of you because if you try and pull it out of you, whatever you love, you'll be dead. Like, your soul is dead, you know. And I never really stopped. I just went into my bedroom and started doing it. Or over to friends' houses, having little jams by ourselves, you know. And the disappointment of, when you start out, you're trying to make it, the disappointment of not making it, it can be harsh. Because that means then you have to stop doing the thing you love because I have to pay these bills.
Yeah.
You know, I've had children, or I've had a child, I have to pay this, I have to do this, I have to do this. The responsibilities are massive. So they had to be taken care of. So that's why I went away from it in the physical shape, in the physical form. And then I think about 2011, I actually recorded again. I recorded a few times over a few months, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
I was going, this is great.
Got the bug again.
When I saw the new tech that you could use, you know, on the laptop in the bedroom, you know, ProLab or whatever my mate was
Such as
using,
that.
and, you know what I mean? Just brilliant. I was like, I must have looked like a total moron to him. He was going, did you not know about any of this? No, I didn't. You know, I'm still stuck in analog world, you know, Benson Echoes and Elvis Presley and that sound. 24-track desks, not stuff that you can...
And you're coming back to the Pro Tools and the cakewalks and all that.
Like, it's really amazing, you know. Still haven't got a clue how to use it, though. You know, so that's why I always need my techie mate there. You know how to use it. You do that. And you're good at writing songs as well. Let's do another few. Brilliant.
Oh, God. And in recent years, since Dickie has unfortunately passed away, and sorry to hear, by the way, you've actually got the chance to actually perform his songs at various venues, such as the National Concert Hall for his own tribute show, and even Vicar Street for the Miami Showband 50th Anniversary Massacre concert. So what's it like stepping into your dad's shoes, singing those songs that people recognize him for?
It's, I tell you, you have to find your own reason for doing it, for singing them, because I've listened to them. I'd say I've listened to those songs more than Dickie sang them, because you'd hear them, I've heard them consistently for, you know, probably since the day I was born, so that will be 55 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what age I am. So it's ingrained on you, it's stamped on you, but the trick I've had to do, for me, you have to find your own reason for connecting with the song. Whether it be There's Always Me or The Candy Store, you know. Sometimes I sing them when I'm rehearsing them, and once or twice it might sneak up on you. You get a bit upset because all of a sudden I'd clearly see him in a certain show where I would have been watching him sing it, and sometimes you could see people, you would connect that deep with a certain song that you could see women, you know, having a tear in their eye, you know, because now it might be 1986 and she heard this in 1966 when she got engaged, and it reminds her of all this lovely stuff, you know. So that for me is, you have to find and personalize it to yourself for me to be able to make you understand the words, the lyrics of this song, you know. So I go and find my own way to do it, and have to sing it the same, obviously. But the emotion has to be my emotion, you know. I don't know what he was feeling when he was singing them, so I find my own way in to the song, and then just go for it.
What's your favourite of the Dickie Rock songs to sing?
To sing? It's a good question, because this show coming up on the 6th will be the first time I've sang all of them. I think there was 16 top 10 hits and 6 number ones.
Very nice.
I don't know yet which one is going to be my favourite. Probably whatever one is the easiest, which none of them are. You know, I've been listening to some of them and kind of going, oh, Jesus Christ, how did he get up that high? Yeah. And kind of going, fucking hell. And, you know, but...
well, there's anything that Roland said to me about how Dickie would rehearse these songs, is that he kind of would deliberately make mistakes so that the orchestra would be at the top of their game.
Yeah, totally. Wow, that was mad, wasn't it? You told me that story. Yeah.
When I heard that, I was like, Dickie, you clever little fecker. You know?
It was smart. And what he used to do in later years is, he used to sit in the car out in the driveway. And he'd have the stereo turned up in the car in the driveway, And I'm telling you now, you could hear it up the road, you could hear it down the road, because he was profoundly deaf, okay?
Okay.
So we'd have this, I was going, geez, Bruce Springsteen's back in the RDS again. Open up the door and he's sitting outside in the car. I'm like, you fucking lunatic. I can't hear, man. So that's how we started to rehearse. So I do the very same.
Okay.
Because, let's be honest, the car stereos now are just incredible.
Oh yeah, they're going real good.
I can't turn it up at home because the neighbours will be banging on the wall. Here, turn that shite off, you know. But it's, I sit in the car, I rehearse it like that. I get the music, if it's any of my own stuff that I've written. The lads have recorded it, they send it back to me. I put a vocal on it, send it back to them. So it's back and forward, but always in the car.
Yeah.
You know, it's peace and quiet.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. No one can hear you. Unless you're Dickie and you're putting the volume up full blast.
To be fair, I'm quite guilty of whacking it up as well, you know.
Yeah.
I love it. I love listening to it. I love everything about it. You know, it makes me feel good.
Definitely.
You know, and I love rehearsing.
Yeah.
He hated to rehearse. My dad would hate to rehearse because there's no crowd there for him to get into it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I totally get that. But then again, as Eugene McCarthy said to me, he said, you don't need to rehearse. He's done it 5,000 times already.
Yeah.
You know, so his muscle memory just springs back in. But I know he just loved to perform it. Didn't like to rehearse. I love rehearsing.
Yeah.
I love the whole camaraderie of it. You know, you're sitting in the room with brilliant musicians. You know, like just, you're looking around with at admiration at these dudes, the drummer, the bass player, the keyboard player, everybody.
Yeah.
The brass section, like the brass section that we had in the National Concert Hall last year. One of the guys plays with Michael Bublé on tour. Two of the guys play with Michael Bublé. Like, that's amazing. It's amazing for me to get to play with the likes of that. It's a privilege for me to play with the likes of those musicians.
Yeah. Isn't it mad that there's two connections between Dickie Rock and Michael Bublé?
Yeah, yeah.
Will we say the story we were talking?
Yeah, absolutely. It was bizarre, wasn't it?
So yeah, basically, when Michael Bublé arrived to RTE in 2011 and kind of like the top of his career, literally when the Christmas album was coming out of his, he was on RTE. Dickie happens to be there on Green Room or something like that.
I think he was dipping the pockets or something like that.
Probably. And he wanted a picture with Michael. So he asked my mum, who happened to be there, and my grand, could you take this photo of me with Michael? So he got the picture, and while he was getting the picture, as I'll show it on the screen, while he was getting this picture, he was saying, listen, I've got a song I'd like to do with you here. Where could I send that on to you and all this? He's like, yeah,
Give us your number, Michael. I'll send this on to you. Yeah, I'll send you a text next week. Brilliant. It's magic, though.
Was he a chancer like that, like at any chance?
I think you create your own opportunities in life.
Yeah.
He knew that, and he was a master of it, because he was in show business for 60 years.
Oh yeah.
Who else? Excuse me. Who else works for 60 years? Anything. You know, nobody does. So he had to be a chancer. He had to roll the dice. I'll ask. You don't ask, you don't receive.
Yeah.
You know, so your man could have turned around, kind of gone, yeah, sure, why not? You know,
and something what happens?
Yeah, defo. Here, take my number, Dickie. Yeah,
yeah.
That's the free phone clock. What's that? Brilliant. Brilliant. He loved it. He loved it.
Yeah, I think he liked the attention, especially when Johnny Logan had a couple of words about him, and then he was like, I'll give you a dig. What was that like on the sidelines? Seeing your dad do that and go, oh God, what's going on here?
It was hilarious because he knew the value of it, you know. He knew the value. And by the way, I'll also say, he also knew how good Johnny was. Johnny's exceptional, you know. He really is. Have you been to see him?
I've been to see him multiple times. I obviously would have known him through Shamo.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when I interviewed him, I said, because Shay, when like a year before he died, Shay said to me, so I made sure to say to Johnny, I said that, you know, Shay thought Johnny was better by age. Yeah. He got, but the older he got, the better he got as a singer.
I think it's like that with all singers. I used to hear my dad singing in the last 10 years, and you're kind of going, the resonance and the deepness in the voice comes through. And I saw Johnny do it recently again,
Sure, you performed on the same stage as him
Yeah,
in
that
Vicar
was
Street.
amazing. And I had a little jam when we were doing Vicar Street. I knocked on his dressing room door. How you doing, Sean? How you keeping? Nice to see you again. You know, hug.
Yeah.
And he says, just come in here and change. Stay in this room. So I was going, geez, this is brilliant. You know, fucking Johnny Logan. You know, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And we went in, he sat down, he picks up his new guitar, this amazing looking thing with a little computer on it, and he starts telling me all about his new guitar, the tones and the sounds and everything.
Yeah.
And then he just cracks on into Prince's Nothing Compares to You. And next minute I find myself duetting with Johnny, singing Nothing Compares to You, and kind of think to myself, this is bizarre. This is mental.
Yeah.
You know? And because that whole thing, my dad knew the value of that little bit in the paper and everything, and it was great. And it was a bit of a break from the norm, you know.
Yeah.
Dickie would give nobody a box at 85, but he might give it might give it a little throw, but he loved it, and he was a big fan of Johnny's, and you know, but by age, Johnny's just got better and better.
Oh yeah.
As Dickie did. It was just a pity they were so far apart, you know, because I think doing some type of duet together would have been just magic.
That would have been definitely, especially maybe immediately after the beef.
Yeah, but now here's the problem. Neither would, because they are, you know, you've met musicians all your life. Singers are inherently somewhat narcissistic.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I've met some.
Yeah, how would you know? I feel your pain, my brother. I feel your pain. And it's the eternal need to be, did I do well? Was that good?
Yeah.
Was that good? I don't know. I do it myself. I turn to Eugene after every gig or whoever's there, and I need to know if it was bad.
Yeah.
If it was bad, I want to fix it.
Exactly.
I just need it fixed. I can't have it being bad. As I'm sure Johnny, Sean, Dad was, Dickie was, your mum, Angel was, brilliant.
Sure, even me, like the song we're singing there on the DAW is the potato game theme that I did 5 years ago. And I recorded it a week ago, again, the vocal, because I thought it was utter shite, my vocal at 17. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not
happy now?
Oh yeah, happy now. Definitely happy now. And it'll be out on June the 20th, so you better look out for that.
Brilliant.
But going back to yourself and to your dad, Dickie, what was your favourite like moments that he had, like whether that be on stage or even in the family? Like,
I think in my lifetime it would have been when he was recognised by IMRO, the IRMA Awards. I think it was in where was it? I think it may have been in the Burlington or somewhere bizarre. Maybe it was in the stadium.
Okay.
Like a big concert, and he got awarded, you know, showbiz personality or something of the decade or something like that. It was a big award, and I remember seeing him, and it was voted for by the other musicians. So that to him meant more than anything. This was voted for by the musicians, by the guys, by all these people out here, and they voted me whatever it was, the legendary IMRO.
Yeah. You got the respect from the colleagues.
And that's all that mattered to him. So it was nice to see that in his time. He was very much singular, and he didn't really mix in and around of it. So to get accepted in his head eventually was pretty brilliant. It was nice to see it, you know. It's validation for all your hard work of 55 years at that stage, and you went on for another 10 years after that. So, yeah, massive.
Definitely,
Yeah, I know.
definitely. What do you think he would think that you are now doing a gig singing all his hits?
Are you getting paid enough? 100%. Make sure you're getting paid enough, you know.
Yeah.
He was a canny man. I don't know, because he was hypercritical
Okay.
of himself first and anything else that wasn't done right. And the only thing you had to do was like give him no reason to be hypercritical. So if you're going to do these songs and you're going to try do them right.
Yeah.
You know, so that's just simply something I know about him. He'd be as harsh on himself as he would be on anything else around, but he would be immediately started on himself. No, that wasn't good enough. You know, which really never was the case, because he was on Dickie Rock 100% at the time. This is me, boom, 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 non-stop.
Yeah.
He wasn't Richard Rock. He wasn't Richard Rock the father. He was Dickie Rock. He was the caricature. Boom. That's what you were, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was on all the time.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Every time. And it's now that you're singing his songs, I thought I'd ask you, if, let's say, some elderly granny or granddad grew up with his music, having the 80th birthday, would you go and do their 80th birthday party singing the songs?
No. No, if they hire Eugene McCarthy and the Sugar Cubes, yes. But even my dad wasn't to just stand up there and sing with a microphone.
Yeah.
He just wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
You know, as he said, Joe Dolan wouldn't do it. Elvis wouldn't do it. I'm not doing it. It's not something we do.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not saying I wouldn't even consider myself in the same sentence as any of those people ever. It's I understand it. I'm not a guitar player. I can't rock up and grab the guitar and sit down here, right, let's play Don McLean's American Pie or one of the, you know, like I'm a singer.
Yeah.
You know, to great music, and I interpret it my way.
And you like when there's real instruments playing behind you rather than the track.
Love it. I love being in the middle of a band. You hear the harmonics, you hear everything. I remember sitting in the middle of the National Concert Hall watching the orchestra rehearse one time, and I was totally overcome by the power of the music. You know, you're right there. It's all right there. It's real instruments. It's not, while this is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing, really, to feel that vibration off all those instruments. You know, it's incredible. And it moves you in ways that other things just can't.
No.
You know, it's just that simple.
Sure, every time I go to the Showband gig, I mean, I'll be honest, like the Showband music, it's not the sort of music you'd expect me to listen to.
No.
But I love going to those gigs
Yeah,
because they're all live drums, live keyboard,
and people
brass, and
want
it's lovely.
to be happy, and everybody's happy to be there, and they're all high on, Jesus, this is great.
Yeah.
You know, thank God for it, because like the buzz I get off it, because I love singing the songs. They're amazing songs, and they will always be amazing songs, no matter who sings them, be it Tony Bennett or Dickie Rock or Frank Sinatra or me. You know, the songs are way, way, way bigger than any of those artists.
Yeah.
They're just good. And if you turn around and say, yeah, I don't really like that, well, I think you've got the problem, you know, because these are just good.
Yeah.
It's just that simple.
Yeah, yeah. So you have the gig coming up on the 6th of June. Is there any other future plans that you have as well?
We're doing the Westport Festival in, I think it's in November. Is it early or late November? I'm doing Remembering the Legends show about Dickie, Joe Dolan and Brendan Boyer. It's a big show about the three of them. And then I'm doing Remembering Dickie with Red Hurley.
Oh, very nice.
Who I'm a big fan of. I think he's an incredible singer.
Yeah, and he's still as good.
And he's asked, he's asked, would you like to come along and do this on the show that night? And I'm really stoked to do that, because I'm delighted to manage to get to do a show with Red, you know.
Yeah. And Red's a performer.
He's pretty.
You just put him on the stage, all right?
His voice is huge.
You know,
it's huge.
Put the lights on him, and the songs and the stories ready to go.
But Red has stories you wouldn't believe. Have you done one with him yet?
I've never done an interview with Red. Love to have him on.
He's amazing. Roland's your man.
Yeah.
And because great stories about him. He's done the stadiums in Nigeria where there'd be 80,000 people listening to Red sing gospel music.
Wow.
You know, when he went to America and met Maya Angelou, all these things Red has done that the Irish audience doesn't really know about.
Yeah, yeah.
And I managed to witness it, obviously, because I was kind of beside it. And like, really accomplished, you know. So it was a bit emotional, you know, when I was asked to do that show, remembering Dickie, because I get to perform with Red.
Yeah.
Red sang at my mum's funeral, and he sang at Dickie's funeral, because that's how close they were.
Yeah.
They weren't best friends, they'd argue like 90. But as professionals,
Yeah.
they loved each other, and they'd slag each other like 90, like shocking. It was like 14-year-olds slagging each other, you know, robbing the golf ball or something like that. Terrible, man.
Oh, well, at least you'll be able to repay the favour in November.
And I look forward to it massively.
Definitely.
You know.
And we'll look forward to that, and we'll look forward to everything that Jason will end up doing. And I think with that, we'll end it there. So Jason, thank you very much for coming on.
Great, man.
Is there any last things you'd like to say to the Dickie fans, maybe for new fans of yourself, and would you like to plug in the old socials?
I'd love to see you all in Erin's Isle on the 6th of June. That's for the Cabra and Finglas communities, sponsored by Massey's, and really looking forward to that. I think that show is sold out in Erin's Isle and Finglas. And then we have the shows going on in November, which we're going to then take on a tour around the lovely theatres of our beautiful island. And I'm really looking forward to that. Like, I can't tell you how much. It's going to be good fun. I think Westport is nearly sold out as well. But check Show Tours are the promoter, so it's going really well, I'm informed. So we could have a really good weekend or two.
Brilliant. That's what you want.
Absolutely.
That's what you want.
I want them up rocking, singing and dancing, and send them home sweating, as they say.
Yeah. Well, we'll be sending you home sweating because it's becoming an inferno in this bloody room.
Roasting. Look, you wear the shorts.
Oh, yeah. I nearly wish I was wearing my shorts.
You're a legend, mate.
But anyway, look, you can find them everywhere. See him at those gigs, and you can find me simply on my YouTube channel, Jack Lucas Caffrey. I'm also available on Instagram and Facebook, where I'll be posting highlights of all the interviews I've done, including my one with Jason. I have a brand new album coming out, featuring some of the music I did for the Potato Games series, and a little bit more as well. And if you're into your show bands, Frankie McDonald of the Drifter Showband is on a few of the tracks. So
lovely.
You should, you have to go and listen to it. That's, you know. You got it.
You better buy it. You better buy it. I'll come and see you.
£5. I don't know what the price is yet.
£5 and a free T-shirt. I love Dickie. Spitting me, Dickie. Spitting me, Jack. I've copyrighted it. You're grand. I let it.
Yeah. We'll get the TM. We'll get the trademark on it. Anyway, Jason, with that,
great.
Thank you very much for coming on, and I'll see you soon.